Hey friends, so let me show you in part two how to find notes as an exercise that I think is really cool and helpful probably for many different levels of guitar players. It sort of challenges you to find one note at a time all over the fingerboard. And this is something that you could do in time to really challenge yourself. But let me go ahead and explain the exercise and demonstrate it. And yeah, so what we're going to do is basically just start with picking a note. So let's go ahead and start with, let's say, a G note. Now on the guitar, there's basically, generally speaking, depending on how many frets you have, two locations of each note on each string. Okay, so for instance, on the low E string, there's going to be two G locations, A, there's going to be two D, and so forth. And so when you can find the note, whatever note you're looking for, before the 12th fret, then it's really easy to find it above the 12th fret. Let me demonstrate. So on the 3rd fret, in part one, I showed you how to find the location of this G right here. So that's on the first dot. So after the 12th fret, again, like I said in part one, these 4 dots correspond with these 4 dots. So that means that the G here on the 3rd fret is going to correspond with the first dot after the 12th fret here, meaning that that's G up an octave. Okay, so here is G on the 3rd fret, and then G after the 12th fret. Now, it could be a little tricky to go to the A string and immediately find G. So it might take you a little while to kind of figure that out. But if you, again, use the sequence or the process that I shared in part one, you won't have any problems. So check it out. It's starting on A, then B, C, D, E, F, and G. Okay, so there's the G before the 12th fret. Okay, so that's on, right after the 4th dot. So then you would go, if you're going to find it after the 12th fret, then you would go 1, 2, 3, 4, past the 4th dot here, and there's G. So I have 22 frets on my guitar. As we know, it's common to also have 21 frets. Gibson, some of their hollow bodies, like the ones I have, there's 20 frets. Some guitars have 24. So of course it's going to vary, like I said, how many locations you're going to have of each note. But I have 22, so G is my highest note on the A string. Okay, so the exercise is, again, just finding one note at a time everywhere on the guitar. So let me demonstrate finding all the G's on each string. So here we go. So here's G. Okay, so I just played every G on my guitar. And there's something really cool about the fact that that's a complete exercise for that. There's something just kind of satisfying about knowing you found every possible G on your guitar. So what would be good to do is, like I did, ascend and then descend. Let me demonstrate that. So all right, so it is challenging initially to do it in time. I was kind of shooting for that. I was shooting for doing it in time. So I would say just pick one note, and like I mentioned in part one, just focusing on the natural notes initially is enough. Because once you can find the natural notes, finding the sharps and the flats is going to be fairly simple. Which I'll probably make a part 3 of finding notes on the guitar, getting more into the sharps and the flats. But yeah, just picking one note that's natural and finding it all over the guitar out of time. And then once you can do it out of time, you're kind of finding it, then try to shoot for doing it in time. And it's even better if you do it with a metronome. And it really pushes you to think ahead. There was kind of a moment there when I was trying to find this G. I can't remember which one it was, but I kind of hesitated a little bit to find it. And yeah, so doing it in time really pushes you to find it and look ahead. That's really, really critical to doing this in time, is looking ahead before, just as you're doing it, you're on this G right here. I can see the G down here. I can see the G here. You're always a step ahead, kind of, so that you don't trip over yourself. Yeah, so give that exercise a try. I think it's a really, like I said, it's kind of satisfying to find every G on the guitar and every A on the guitar. And once you can start finding one note, and two notes and three notes, then the other ones start become a little easier. For instance, when you can find all the A's, well, B is just going to be a whole step above A. So once you can find all the A's, it's going to be a little easier for you to find all the B's. And it's going to happen like that for a lot of the other notes. So give that a try. And yeah, I would make it maybe part of your regular routine, or maybe every other day for a little while, just to really get this up and running as far as just finding the notes. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful, and I'll talk to you guys soon.